Ominous music fades in, visuals of Supreme Court building, protesters with signs reading "No one above the law," and news headlines "Justice face ethics scrutiny." Calls from reform intensify, Scotus starts erodes. The Supreme Court of the United States is supposed to be the final word on justice, independent, impartial, and above political influence. But now, America's highest court is facing a celebrity crisis. After months of headlines revealing undisclosed gifts, luxury trips, and potential conflicts of interest involving some justice, pressure is mounting. Senators on both sides of the aisles are pushing for ethics reform, arguing that it's time for binding rules to restore public trust. So, what happened and what could change? Let's break it down. Footage of Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito overlay of headlines from ProPublica and major outlets. The latest firestorm was sparked by a series of investigation reports, especially from ProPublica, revealing Justice Clarence Thomas accepted lavish gifts and private jet travel from Republican mega donor Harry Crow without disclosing from them for years. Then came revelations then that Justice Samuel Alito also took luxury trips with a conservative hedge fund billionaire again without reporting the gifts. These disclosures were not just embarrassing, they raised serious questions about influence, transparency, and accountability in a branch of government that has no formal ethics code. Senate Judiciary Committee footage, senators, glaring legal experts, and public polling graphics. In response, Senate Democrats, led by Judiciary Chairman Dick Durbin, have introduced legislation that would require the Supreme Court to adopt a formal ethics code similar to that one that binds lower federal judges. Key proposals include: first, mandatory disclosures of gifts and traveler; second, public expressions for recusal decisions; and the last one, a formal process to investigate ethics complaints. Public support is high. Recent polls show that over 70% of America's Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike favor stricter ethics rules for the court. But Republicans argue the push could be politically motivated. Senator Mitch N.C. Connell, speaking conservative analyst on cable news, defending the court. GOP leaders say the reforms are less about ethics and more about political pressure on conservative justice. The warn that giving Congress power over court rules could threaten judicial independence and erode the separation of powers. Still, even some conservatives have expressed unrest. Chief Justice John Roberts, while resisting congressional oversight, has acknowledged the concern. In 2023, the court released a non-binding code of conduct for justice for the first time ever. But critics say it lacks enforcement mechanism, making it more symbolic than substantive. Legal expert in interviews protesters outside the court, headlines ethics bill stale, reform or retreat. So, will anything actually change? At the moment, the path forward is murky. The Senate Judiciary Committee has approved the Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal and Transparency Act, but it faces stiff opposition in the full Senate and is unlikely to pass the Republican uncontrolled House. In the meantime, watchdog groups are ramping up public pressure, and some states are even exploring their own judicial ethics oversight models. But without a binding national standard, critics say the court risks further erosion of public confidence. American flag waving in front of the Supreme Court, judges entering Chambers creating ticking clock imagery. The Supreme Court has long been viewed as above the political fray, but recent controversies have shattered the perception of for many Americans. As calls for reform grow louder, the central question remains: who watches the watchers? And can the nation's highest who rebuilds the trust is has lost? Supreme Court ethics debate ongoing, public trust at stake.